There are warnings every traveler knows. Radiation, hull shear, silent sectors, and then there is red. At the rim of human space, buoys pulse a universal signal. Do not enter. Turn back. This warning is for your safety. Most obey. A few don't. This is the story of the latter. The High Council chamber was polished stone and measured breadth. Archon Velix of the Korith stood before a star map like a gallery piece. Elegant hands poised to never betray urgency. Our harvest worlds are failing, he said, velvet smooth. The human corridor is the shortest path between need and survival. I petitioned safe passage a murmur. Every name in the galaxy carried a weather system. Human was a thunderhead. Red is absolute, a counselor said. It's not law, it's physics wearing a warning. Warnings, Velix replied, are invitations to negotiate. He felt the small betrayal of his pulse. The Korith were old, refined, accustomed to roads that opened at a raised brow. But the ledger in his private rooms kept arriving at the same sum. Famine, unrest, cities simmering with a contained boil. A compromise arrived like a cough. We could send a small diplomatic convoy, said Velix. The High Council looked at each other and nodded. This may be the only option. The order was given. The mission was to observe. Parley. Do not provoke. Velix bowed, the picture of gratitude. Inside, a needle of doubt slid along bone. A couple of cycles later, the convoy departed the system and headed to human space. 3 cycles later, as they approached human space, their sensors detected the human warning buoy. It flashed red. The Korith flagship moved past the buoy like a swan past a no-swim sign. The symbol filled every screen, a human hand, palm raised. Do not enter, the translation intoned. Medical quarantine in effect, declared distress. Or turn back Ensign Rel shifted at his console. Young, earnest, eyes too open for a career in diplomacy. Sir, this is more than a border. Their beacons say, Hospice Fleet Velix, let the corner of his mouth rise. Their reputation and their branding seldom agree. Cut the buoy. The signal died. The stars felt closer, as if they'd leaned in to listen. Rel swallowed. Sir, the hand. Why a hand? Primitive heraldry, Velix said lightly, but the image stuck under his ribs. Stop! He could almost feel the heat of it. He lifted his chin. Onward! They found the derelict drifting above a pale world, scraped, scorched, quiet. A human cutter held station beside it, lights warm, weapons asleep. Then the feed sharpened. A woman stood on the cutter's spine with mag boots locked and helmet focused directly at them as they approached. She held a lantern like a star in her hand. Her voice came over open band, calm, unhurried. Unknown convoy, you've crossed into a hospice ward. Engines down. Declare your need. Or turn back. Velix stepped into view of the pickup, every line of him composed. I am Archon Velix of the Korith. We seek passage. We will compensate. Not a toll road, she said. A quarantine. From what? A breath. The kind you take when you decide to be honest, even if it's inconvenient. From us. She put out the lantern. The stars brightened. Somewhere in Velix's chest a very old door creaked. Air cycled, docking latches engaged. The human platform looked like a cathedral welded to a hospital. Ribs of truss and sanctuaries of light, the practical and the sacred bolted together without apology. Captain Mara Ibarra met them with a cup of coffee and a blade-sharp smile. She wore her authority like a jacket she'd broken in through weather and work. Welcome to Mercy Spire, she said. Engines are cold. Weapons are colder. Keep them that way. Her ship's AI spoke into their headsets, voice like a piano in an empty room. Hello, I'm Auden, monitoring biometric stress. Please hydrate. Rel jerked. It cares? Ibarra's smile softened. He does. He's nosy. Well, you have come this far, let me take you on a tour of our ship, so you can see what you have gotten yourselves into. Mara intoned. They toured different sections of the ship and marveled at the diversity of activities. A greenhouse where bees, bee-ish mini-drones, hummed in slow gardens. A machine shop printing puzzle boxes and wooden animals. Velix tapped a small carved fox. Armaments? For children who are dying, Ibarra said. And even Velix's poise couldn't keep the flinch out of his face. They entered a ward. Clean, bright, human. Burn scars, laughter that refused to wait for permission. Chief Hassan, an engineer with medic's hands and a mechanic's humor, lifted a hand in greeting. "Visitors," he said. "Be nice, Captain." "We don't get many because we post do not enter in 32 languages," Ibarra murmured. At the far window, the pale planet filled the frame like a confession. Ibarra set the coffee down, put both hands on the rail. "In red," she said, "there's one rule. No one dies alone. Not while we breathe." Velix stared at the planet's cold oceans. "You keep a corridor as hospice." "We keep it," she said. "We don't own it." "For what purpose?" "So the living remember how to be." He had nothing elegant for that. Rel found his voice. "Why warn us at all?" "Your reputation. Humans are—" Ibarra cocked a brow. "Monsters." "Unpredictable," he corrected, flushing. "Both can be true," she said. "Depends on the day. Today, we're medics." The word we hooked something behind Velix's ribs and pulled. Auden's voice cut through. "Incoming distress. Civilian transport outside ring. Fires in habitat. Hull at 42%. Captain, we are the closest asset. Launch bays prep 3, Ibarra said. Every warm set of hands." She turned to the Korith, the coffee steam curling between them like a thin ghost. "Red rules. Your people stay up top. Watch, learn, don't touch unless asked." Velix inclined his head. "We observe." They watched the humans move. No shouting, no hero speeches. Controlled velocity, the speed that knows panic burns oxygen. Rescue craft slipped into motion. Hatches opened like mouths breathing. On the mezzanine, Rel pressed gloved fingertips to the rail. "They're taking the smallest first." "Public relations," Velix said too quickly. Rel didn't look away. "No, sir." "This is the thing they do." Down below, Hassan caught Velix's eye across a crowd as if he'd heard. "Hold this!" he called to a Korith tech, passing up a bundle the size of a soup pot. "Like soup." "Don't spill," the tech, blue-veined, precise by profession and species, cradled the bundle with terrified tenderness. Something inside whimpered. A tiny hand curled around a Korith finger and decided the universe was friend for one more minute. The tech began to quietly, ferociously cry. Ibarra's voice cut through comms. "We've got a jammed door!" Fire behind it. 3 life signs. "Hassan, cutting team." 2 minutes. Too long. She clipped to the hull. Gloves off. "Captain," Auden said gently. "Your hands. They slow me down. It will hurt." "It'll only hurt once," she said, and put her bare palms to the red-hot wheel. Metal complained. Skin hissed. The door moved. 3 figures stumbled out. 2 adults with blistered cheeks, a teenager holding herself together like glass with bad glue. Ibarra shoved her own air to the kid and waved the adults forward as if she had air to spare. On the mezzanine, Velix recoiled. "Madness!" Rel's voice was a prayer said backwards. "Humanity!" Back on the ward, Ibarra sat while Hassan wrapped her hands in cooling gel. Pain made a halo around her breath. She wore it like a crown she neither asked for nor rejected. "You keep setting the bar where bones file a complaint," Hassan murmured. "Bars teach," she said. "They also break ribs. Add it to the training manual." Velix lingered at the threshold because walking in meant naming a debt. "You endanger your command to save 3, he said. "Is that wise?" "No," she said. "It's good. Wisdom preserves. Goodness costs. Then let it cost me." She flexed a bandaged hand, winced, and smiled anyway. "Besides, I'm learning to budget." He almost laughed. The sound died behind his teeth. You still want passage? She asked. Yes. You can't have it. His pride rose like a shield. Even after what we witnessed. Especially after. She turned to the window. The pale planet hung like a coin. We mark it red because we are both things. Mercy has rules. Rel stayed after Velix left. He cleared his throat. Captain, why keep a corridor like this? Why take a burden you could refuse? She studied the bandages as if they were maps. Because someone has to remember what all of this is for. All of what? Ships, councils, corridors. If they don't deliver us to each other, they deliver us to nothing. Rel thought of the tiny hand on a Korith finger. In our academies, he said, we study optimization. We worship it. You can keep worship, she said, not unkindly. Just don't forget, altars need people. Velix returned to his temporary quarters with the kind of precise fury that made neat stacks of anything it could touch. He ordered his reports. He ordered his breath. The ledger in his head began its faithful arithmetic. Fuel, time, public sentiment, harvest yields, the council's appetite for risk dressed as necessity. Another ledger intruded. The soup pot bundle. The burned teenager standing because standing was the last thing she owned. The captain who knew exactly what she was losing and did it anyway. He opened a private channel. Auden, I'm here, the AI said. Do you record everything? I leave out bathroom humor, Auden said. It's a curatorial stance. Velix almost smiled. Humans use machines that joke. Humans teach machines to carry weight, Auden said. Gentler. Jokes are a shoulder under a load. If I request passage, she will refuse. Yes. If I force it, she will stop me. Yes. Explain your red. Auden paused. We use red to save meaning. Time matters. Meaning spends cleaner. I require a pragmatic answer. That was the pragmatic answer. He cut the line and sat very still while the shape of his world tilted 1 degree. The next alert came with no ceremony. Korith Freighter Amalan, Auden intoned. Reactor fault. 3 minutes to failure. Nearest responder, Mercy Spire. Second nearest. Your convoy. Rel's hands hovered over controls that had not been offered. He looked to Velix. Velix looked at Ibarra. She met his gaze and didn't bother to sell him on morality. We're going, she said. You can shadow. Or you can help. Red rules say. Red rules were written to prevent panic and looting, not to forbid help, she snapped. Then softer. Archon, I can carry 80 per pass. Velix turned to his bridge. Ensign Rel. Prep shuttles. Meddoc to their protocols. Move. Rel blinked. Sir? You heard me? And then they were moving. Korith shuttles under human direction. Korith hands lifting Korith bodies through human doors while human medics shouted gentle orders that carried like home. Hassan clapped a Korith officer on the shoulder hard enough to surprise them. You're in. Good. You. Take 3. Feel useful. It's addictive. Velix found himself on a rung ladder with a child tucked under his elbow and a stranger's breath loud in his ear. The child looked up with the terrible confidence of the very young. Are you a doctor? I am efficient. That seems like a doctor, the child said, satisfied and relaxed against his chest. Later he would remember that sentence the way you remember your name after someone says it when you're lost. The reactor held long enough for 2 passes. It failed on the 3rd, miles away, far enough that no one died for trying. The shock wave banged the hull like a fist. Everyone flinched. No one let go. After, the ward glowed midnight. Exhaustion made the air tender. Ibarra leaned against a bulkhead, bandages darker, eyes bright. Velix approached without courtly cushioning. What would it cost, he asked, for a Korith ward to learn your protocols? She blinked once, slow. 2 things. Name them. You don't enter red without asking. And when you ask, you bring more than you take. Trade, he said. Debt paid forward. He tasted the word debt as if it might be poison and discovered it was medicine. We can try. Trying counts. Rel arrived balancing a crate of ridiculous toys. Hassan pointed with his chin. Bed 7. She'll pretend she doesn't care Rel carried them to the teenager from the fire. She scowled at the ceiling until the fox appeared. Childish, she said, hand already closing. Ferociously, Rel agreed, deadpan. Give me the fox. Obviously. Velix watched it land. How simple objects balanced a soul's weight. How the ledger added columns he had never counted. Departure tasted like regret warmed over a small flame. The boy pulsed its raised hand. The corridor waited with the patience of stone. Rel stood at the console. Sir, we could leave the relay on for others. At our language, Velix looked at the raised hand and heard a door creak open in his chest again. Leave it. Add Korith. Add what is true, Rel typed. The boy sang a new verse. Do not enter human space without consent. You will be received with mercy, but mercy has rules. Good, Velix said, surprised to find the word taste clean. Auden pinged his private channel. Archon, may I offer an observation? Machines rarely ask permission. Humans taught me the trick. A beat. You came to save time. You left with a different clock. He didn't answer. The silence said yes. The council chamber waited with its old decorum. The measured breath of power that forgets breathing is a gift. Velix didn't use a map this time. He used sentences. We will seek a different route, he said. We will not cross red without leave. The humans keep a corridor as hospice. They are not our road. They are our last teachers, a stir like wind through glass grass. You would bind us to their whim. I would bind us to our own dignity, he said, and realized he meant it with his bones. A stylus tapped a ledger. Motion carried. It did not feel like victory. It felt like standing under a lantern and noticing your hands. Back on Mercy Spire, Captain Ibarra stood on the spine with healed skin, shining like old gold. She lit a lantern and set it on the rail. Hassan joined her. 2 cups of coffee in a hand that never shook when it mattered. Think it helps? Lanterns don't move ships, she said. They tell you where the last good hand stood. Auden murmured. New relay ping. Message appended in Korith. Hassan grinned. What's it say? We are learning, Auden translated. Ibarra's smile tilted toward Fierce. Leave the light on. The boy pulsed. The hand rose. The corridor stayed red. Not as a threat, as a promise. Ena Korith School. A child asked why their models now left wide margins, blank edges the old teachers would have filled with proofs. Those are for chairs, the teacher said. For words we haven't learned yet. The child drew a little picture in the margin. 5 figures in a storm, hands linked, leaning into wind. No one erased it. Somewhere in human space, a carved fox passed from a bandaged hand to a scowling teenager to a blue-veined technician who pretended not to cry and failed. Somewhere else, an Archon set a ledger down and walked to a window with nothing in his hands just to feel what it was like. And out at the rim, the lantern burned, not bright enough to light the galaxy, bright enough to say, here is where someone decided not to be perfect. Here is where we chose to be good. Died.